Good evening. As promised earlier, I'm back again to talk about the role of the media. This is part two. What is the role of the media in delivering the promise of constitutionalism, respect of the rule of law? And if you were asked a question as to who stands out in the media industry, whether online, offline, electronic or otherwise, or print media, stands out as a custodian or a shining star of the kind of journalism that you want to see, who would that be? If you were to name one person you look up to and able to project facts as they are, not as they should be. Yesterday, Mr. Ndebele, among others, was mentioned. Hopewell Chingono was mentioned. Others were mentioned. Is there anyone that comes to your own mind as the kind of media that you think ought to be celebrated? Zenzele Ndebele presents well. I've sent a link to Zenzele Ndebele to come on the show. Hopefully he will join us. He had agreed to come on the show. So Zenzele Ndebele, hopefully he will be here. Phineas Madeke, good evening. Mandi Maradzika, good evening. Busani Mbusundini, good evening. Chansemo, good evening. Enmadzi, good evening. Ramai, you need the link. We need you to be able to give your voice as you threatened earlier. Let's hear as many voices as possible as we seek to better understand the facts that unfold daily in our faces, in our ears. We hear a lot of things. Sometimes we don't know what is fake, what is not fake. So we need to be able to have men and women in the media that we spoke about this transfer of power within ZANU-PF. You know what happened. Many people know what happened. One day there was President Mugabe. The next day somebody was fired. The next day Mugabe was out of office. It all happened like a movie, like people were playing on a stage. But at the end of the day, power transferred hands. The question is, what are the implications of the Supreme Court judgment in relation to the MDC team matter on the events that unfolded? Now we know that whatever we think is moot can result in something else. So there is Peru. Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. And to the right, I see Seguero. Why Seguero? Hello? I think somebody came in and chickened out, left the broadcast. That's what happens. If we were to celebrate excellence, we have come up in the position of our beloved President Chamisa. It's our duty night and day. Hopefully, I've shared the link, Ramai. Just check again. It's right there so that we can have your say. It's on the screen. We need your voice on this transfer of power, and hopefully we can get your voice. Not easy to interpret events, and the people who interpret events naturally end up being victims of the news. So, Ramai, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Moore. How are you doing?
Welcome back again.
Thank you.
And Ramai, when you look at the media, I know you are now a media personality. Are you satisfied that the people who are paid to do the job that you do generously, freely, are actually doing the right job?
Well, I suppose there's always an agenda, and I wouldn't know, Mr. Moore, because Zimbabweans, it depends on what context. There's always an agenda.
When you read, who do you look up to in the media as a good storyteller?
Well, in my planet of news, most of the people that I relate to, if I go for Channel 4 News, for instance, there's so many good reporters there. You know, there's John Snowman, very much a person who's more objective. So it depends which part of the world we're talking about. I found that Al Jazeera.
Let's say we talk about somebody says, I can't stand this evil woman.
I cannot stand Talitha either, because Talitha, you're more evil than I am. Okay, so get that straight. You're more evil.
So you know each other with Talitha.
Yeah, I do. She's a Chamisa Cheta Cheta fool. She slips and wears Chamisa Cheta Cheta t-shirts all the time. That's why she's calling me evil.
Okay, so, why would somebody call you evil?
Because she does not understand. I'm not in the same camp as her. So obviously, if you do not understand somebody, instead of trying to understand them, you go and good versus evil, you know, that they come up with, which I don't, because I will not call MDC evil or good. It's just that we don't really see on the same page of life. But I wouldn't call them evil, because I've got no right to describe them as evil.
Okay, but you do agree that some people see your works as evil.
Well, if they see it as evil, but they don't even know, they don't understand how I become a ZANU-PF person. If they cared to understand why
are you a ZANU-PF person?
No, I'm not really. I'm more of a devil's advocate. That's what.
Okay, let's hear your devil's advocacy. So tonight we are talking about this issue of the transfer of power. You know what happened? One day it was President Mugabe. The next day, something happened.
Well, it didn't take one day. It took almost 5 days for it to transfer into something else.
Well, let's start with the party. Yeah. What was the first step in the name of the party to get rid of Mugabe?
Well, the first step was not the party. The first step was Parliament. The first.
No. Before they went to Parliament, they went to the Central Committee.
What, to recall Robert Mugabe?
There was a Central Committee meeting.
Okay. I can't remember that part, because when the coup, what we had first was the coup not coup, when General Chiwenga came onto was it Sly Media and said, you need to do ABC shenanigans and stuff like that. That was the first step. And they said, I'll give you 24 hours. That was General Chiwenga and the army captains and all that. That's what we saw. You were talking about the media, because the other bit I did not see. And then next thing we had was what's his name, Moyo, on ZBC, first of all, there was something coming from the army. People was just seeing army going through Harare into central CBD area towards Robert Mugabe's way. That was reported.
Look on the screen. Look on the screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Can you see it?
Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe removed as ZANU-PF party leader.
Okay.
Right, but that was when
the Central Committee of ZANU-PF of ruling ZANU-PF on Sunday, while other people were in church, they removed Robert Mugabe from his post as party leader.
What happened first, Mr. Mawere?
No, that was before Mugabe resigned.
Not before. Was it the army that went on to ZBC and took over?
No, the army already paved the way of neutralizing Mugabe.
Okay, so when we say that the next bit was ZANU-PF, so they had to go to the 10 districts and say, can you remove Robert Mugabe as your leader?
They convened a meeting at which, on a Sunday, at which Mugabe was removed, President E.D. was appointed by Central Committee.
I don't remember happening like that, because to remove a sitting president, you need to go through Parliament.
No, this was before they went to Parliament. They went to the Central Committee. Good evening, Mr. Matapo. Are you aware of this, Mr. Matapo?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mawere. Thank you very much. Yes, I recollect a little bit.
Which seems to have amnesia.
I don't have amnesia, because I knew for a fact that Robert Mugabe to be removed
good evening,
was not within ZANU-PF. The first thing that happened was Robert Mugabe.
Do you remember that on a Sunday, the Central Committee of ZANU-PF met?
Yes, I am aware of that.
Alignment, but ZANU-PF cannot.
Okay, Uncle George, good evening, yeah?
Yes, good evening. How are you doing?
Are you aware that there was a Central Committee meeting that met?
Yeah, obviously there has to be done simultaneously.
Because
I reported Parliament has to vote of no confidence.
I think I reported extensively.
Let's hear Uncle Jeb, who said he reported about it.
Yes, I reported extensively, about it. I think I was doing daily coverages of what was happening in Zimbabwe on that, during that period.
It's not here.
Yes. I can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I can't hear him.
Oh, you can't. Oh. Yeah, but anyway, yes, I am aware of the events that unfolded from the time, because if you want to be understanding what it is, that happened, we need to take a look at the events, not the events surrounding that time. But if you want to look maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, prior to that, we can see that, the events were building up until we got to a point whereby there was this Central Committee, meeting that facilitated the removal of.
Do you have it on your phone or something? Oh, yeah, there it is.
No, I am on the computer. Can you still not hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Ramai, you still cannot hear me?
No.
You can't hear you.
But I can hear you, what's Mr. Thingy? Can you say something, please?
Hello.
Okay.
I can hear him very well.
Uncle Jed is very clear and his voice is very solid. It doesn't.
I can
Yeah,
hear
okay,
Mr. Mwere.
let's Ruamai, can you look at the screen? What do you see? Ruamai, what do you see?
I just went into mute. I see the mute audio button, the video button, the flip, the chat, and the live button, and then I see the constitution.
What do you see on the screen now? Uncle Jed, what do you see?
I'm seeing the constitution of ZANU-PF.
ZANU-PF constitution.
It's the Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front.
Yes.
That's the ZANU one.
Yeah, so let's go to section 30 what? 35.
Okay.
So this is section 35. What does it say?
I can't read that small. I have to get
There
my
shall be
glasses, so you have to
there
read it
shall
out
be a
for us
central
because you've got the
committee
original copy.
which shall be principal organ of the party in between Congress and shall consist of 300 members as follows. So 4 members being president, first secretary nominated by at least 2 provinces and elected nationally by party members for his or her probity, integrity, and commitment to the party, its ideology, values, principles, and
So
policies.
for you to be a president of the party, what should happen?
You have to be nominated by at least 2 provinces.
So do we agree that President Mnangagwa was not nominated?
Yes.
Well,
On that Sunday, on that fateful Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah?
No, but if we consider, the agenda of that meeting on that fateful Sunday, what was the agenda of that meeting?
No, I'm saying is, do you agree that for you to become president, you must follow the constitution?
Absolutely, yes.
Do you agree that what transpired on that Sunday could not have been within the 4 corners of the constitution?
Right.
Okay, now read section 38.
The president and first secretary of the party, or in his absence, one of the vice president, second secretaries, or the national chairman shall preside over the meeting of the central committee, and at such a meeting, decisions of the central committee shall be by simple majority, and the majority of the total membership shall form a quorum.
Okay, so what does this mean to a layman after you read this?
So they are basically saying that if the president is not there, one of the vice presidents can step in, or the national chairperson can step in to provide, to preside over the meeting. And decisions that are taken there, they have to go with the majority. And once the majority forms, the quorum, then the decision that is there.
Do you agree that the first secretary and president has to chair the session? That's a right. In his absence, one or the other vice president chairs.
Yes, absolutely.
In their absence, which means in the absence of the 3, the chairperson
sits. Yes.
So for you to convene a meeting that is lawful and constitutional, it has to happen.
There has to be, there has to be a person, that chairs the meeting.
Can you do it with the knowledge of the president?
Oh yes, I think yes. I think yes. You have to do it with the knowledge of the president, because the president is the first, is the first person that they consider to be, chairing, that meeting.
So even for the agenda, the president has to know.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So I can't just wake up in the morning, in terms of the ZANU-PF constitution, convene a meeting for a living president without his knowledge and consent.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Oh yes. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Oh, let's hear from Ramai. Do you agree?
Minute, because I was trying to listen to what Uncle Jed was saying, so I have to go off mic and listen to my laptop. Well, we are not sure about the agenda of the Central Committee meeting.
We're not talking about the agenda, we're talking about Section 38 of the Constitution. What does it
does, but you cannot, it's like saying, can you go to a meeting to fire yourself? Of course not. You cannot go to a meeting to fire yourself, can you?
You can.
No, you can't.
President Mbeki went to a meeting that fired him, you know that?
No, but what you're missing out is Robert Mugabe was a very shrewd man. When he got rid of ED was not allowed to be in this meeting. We were just told, I have fired him, right?
No, I'm saying to you.
But ED was saving, at the mercy of Robert Mugabe anyway. Because ED was appointed by Robert Mugabe, which means he was saving at his mercy. And Robert Mugabe, I think, was within
was not one of the 4 designated officials
because he had been fired. Because he had been fired.
Because I don't really know about I know the Central Committee exists. So we need to find. So if we talk about the 4 people who were designated to chair it, obviously, if it's not just the president, there was another person who was supposed to chair it as well, in absence.
In fact, can I say something?
Okay, Mr. Matapu.
Yes, we need to look at their constitution and understand that, what it says. Otherwise, in terms of that section which Mr. Mawere has read, it doesn't say when you are firing the vice president, he has to be there. So their constitution might allow the way Mugabe fired Mnangagwa. But the way Mugabe was then fired, it should be in terms of the same constitution. The constitution is clear. It's saying either the meeting should be chaired by the president or by the vice or by the national chairman. So one of these, in other words, the vice president who was there, in this case, would have been possibly Mpoko.
No,
yes.
Mr. Matapu, the vice president cannot chair if the president is there.
If the president, exactly. So that's
and is it true that Mugabe was alive on that day?
Mugabe was alive, true.
But he was put in the freezer.
Yes. Either way, this was done unconstitutionally. That's what we are driving at.
That's not driving it. That's
what the Constitution is.
No, guys. Yes. Hold on a minute. This says in absence. It does not say death.
This was done unconstitutionally. That's what we are.
So there's no room, Ramai, for wiggling out of logic. Uncle Jed.
Yes.
Can you wiggle? Can you hide behind a matchstick?
Right. No. You cannot.
But Ramai, you hide behind a matchstick.
Right.
Yeah. Mr. Matapu, can you hide?
No, you cannot. That's absolutely not. I mean, look, if we are talking about issues to do with the
problem what you
constitution,
have
guys,
is
institution
which
must
comes
be
first?
followed.
Because
It is the
Robert Mugabe
constitution.
was a country president. Yeah.
Who is that?
The Zimbabwean president. Does our constitution, which has got more power, the ZANU-PF constitution or the country's constitution?
No, we're talking about the party so far.
Okay.
But MDC versus ZANU-PF, whether ZANU followed the constitution for the current president, who is also the presiding president of Poland.
Okay. So in this respect, because the way ED was taking off power, it was also illegal because that was done through an emotional thing. So by the end of the day, horses for courses.
No, I'm saying is we are looking at the constitution and we are talking about constitutionalism.
Yeah.
The court has said constitutions do matter.
Yes, it does matter. We're not arguing on the basis it does not matter. But
so
what
do you agree?
Robert Mugabe did to the same constitution?
No, we are not yet at Robert Mugabe. We are just saying convening of a meeting.
Yeah.
And
right,
Angojed, do you agree that in terms of the constitution, meeting can be held without the president's knowledge?
No, it is clear. That,
yes, it does say so in black and white.
That's is clear.
President and first secretary of the party, or in his absence.
Yes,
because
so
it's actually saying correctly. You can
do you see the word shall in that?
Oh. No, it says the president and secretary of the party.
No, the president of the
one
party,
of the vice president
shall preside.
Second secretaries of the national chairperson shall.
What does shall mean in English?
Shall, it means it can go ahead.
No, it means it's peremptory.
Well,
you have it. It's an obligation on the part of those parties to hold a session. They have to be there.
Yes.
So what happened in due course? Who was at this meeting, Mr. Mawere?
Neither of the three who were supposed to chair the meeting chaired that meeting.
So who chaired it? Because here says who was the national chairperson?
S.K. Moyo.
Who?
S.K. Moyo, but he couldn't chair because Mugabe was not absent.
Well, it depends technically. What do you mean by absent?
The meeting was convened without his knowledge and consent because it was.
No, but Robert Mugabe was absent because he was dealing with the army people that he pissed off.
So if you piss off the army, you lose your constitutional rights.
I've just won an argument there. Mr.
Okay, no, thanks for trying.
You're right.
It makes sense.
Okay, but don't try too hard.
Maishinga wants to be added. Can you give the link to Maishinga, please? She's at the bottom.
I'll put it on the screen, but people don't look at it.
No, pin it there.
Okay.
If you put it there,
just look for it for her and then put it on. One moment. Okay, carry on, because I have to listen to you guys on the other device, or I might have to come in.
Okay, so you can pin it to Roma, you can be admin. Okay, so we now are clear, Angojed, what happened on that fateful Sunday.
Absolutely.
That Mugabe Chombo was nowhere to be seen.
Uh-huh.
He was put in a freezer with no address.
Right.
And Chombo had no right to chair the meeting. But the meeting proceeded and passed resolutions.
Right.
So, Mr. Matapo, you have been you are a seasoned man. If a meeting is improperly held,
Yes.
what is the fate of the resolutions?
Well, if the meeting is not properly constituted or if it is not held properly, then that means whatever resolutions come as a result of such a meeting should not bind anything. They become frivolous.
No, they become void, ab initio.
Yes.
And that's what the Supreme Court said.
Sure.
That go back to the day, that Sunday.
In fact, someone is actually saying we cannot even call it a meeting because it's just people have just come together, but because they have come with dirty hands, that cannot be, we cannot count on that kind of a meeting as a meeting.
So, Amboje, do you agree with Mr. Matapo that there was no meeting held and there were no resolutions passed?
Yeah. On the basis of the issues, that we have just unpaid and outlined, I think those seem to suffice when it comes to, when it comes to consideration of the legality or whether the outcomes of that meeting could have been endorsed, by the meeting and taken up as a position of the party.
Do you agree that there was no meeting held?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, it was simply saying that it is a non-event.
The Constitution limits what a meeting is and what a meeting is not.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There was no central committee meeting held.
But Mr. Mawere, can I ask a question? Right. We have highlighted, some of these things that Mugabe was still alive. Mugabe was there. The other vice presidents were still alive. They were not there. The one was supposed to be chairing, the meeting. The chairperson did not chair, the meeting. So all these people were not present for one reason or the other. We know that AD had been fired. We know that Ezidi Mpoko had, escaped, ran away. He was in Botswana. We know that Simon Kayamoyo, I think he quickly changed.
You're already wondering intellectually.
No. Yeah, but you see, but the point that I'm trying to drive it, that in the absence of all these people, what does the Constitution of ZANU-PF say when it comes to the holding of a meeting like the one that, is there no provision in that Constitution that will allow for a meeting, to proceed?
No. The Constitution says for a session of the Central Committee to take place, it must be presided by creatures of Congress.
Yes.
Only those 4 people are created by Congress.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I think Kaya Moyo was part of this meeting. I wouldn't know because I wasn't really paying that much attention to it, but I know for a fact Kaya Moyo had something to do with the meeting. Robert Mugabe was engaged with the army, and then the parliament bit was been run by someone else.
No, it doesn't work that way. The Constitution says in the absence. So we need a letter of the president to absent himself from meeting.
No,
Was
you
there
are the
any
one who's you're
document
adding
that?
your own. No, you're making it into an instruction manual. This is a constitution. If you say in the absent, it does not say in the absent. It says in the absence, in the sense of you could have a meeting, even if my manager is in the same building, we can have a meeting, but it does not say we can have apologies, right? Because that person
No,
doesn't show up.
you have apologies, Ramai. That's how meetings are convened and held.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where is the apology, Ramai?
Well, I can Kayamoyo can do an apology
No,
on
no.
behalf of
The president, he died after he said a few words about this. And
well,
what did President Mugabe say about how he was unseated or how he was handled?
he said Mugabe said that this was a coup, right? He argued back that it was a coup.
Yeah, it couldn't have a coup if he knew about the meeting.
But we always say it's a coup, not coup, in terms of whatever it is. People
No,
must be
I'm
chosen
saying
in government. Robert Mugabe said people must be chosen in government in a proper way. I'm willing to discuss it, willing to assist in the process. I must be invited. So Robert Mugabe wanted to have this meeting in the constitution. Is that what you're trying to say?
And I'm saying the constitution is a binding document. We now have a Supreme Court judgment.
Yeah.
Don't follow the constitution, you must suffer the consequences.
Do you allow me to ask you a question, Mr. Mawere?
Yes.
Certainly, go ahead.
Right. What measures populism? Is it rhetoric from the public, or it's because you see, in my view, a constitution is what is drafted by the majority. So the majority is represented by a constitution. If somebody fails to follow a constitution or refuses to follow a constitution and then says, I am not following the constitution because I'm popular, would you agree with that?
No, the constitution is a limiting document. So if you don't follow the constitution, it's fatal.
I mean, in my view, the constitution is the only proof that can say someone, I mean, that can make someone to claim popularity. Because you say, I'm following a document that was drafted by the people, and all the people abide by this.
It's not even the majority who draft it. It could be one person or 10 people who draft it, but it's adopted by delegates of the party at a Congress. Once adopted, it becomes the supreme law of that organization.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely that. So I'm only saying, when I want to claim to be popular, I must follow that document, which is agreeable by the majority of the people, unless it's not agreeable. So for people then just to claim on the street that no, Matapo is popular, but he does not want to follow the constitution, that I don't understand. I have a problem there.
Okay.
But Mr. Mawere, where does it say in terms of the constitution? And then you read this bit on the sessions of Central Committee. Where does it say in the Central Committee, how do you get rid of a sitting president? Instructions for that. Can you read those instructions of how do we, if we did not have this meeting, in terms of that, can we now go and look in terms of the in terms of the constitution of ZANU-PF or of the country? How do we unseat Robert Mugabe in terms of the constitution?
There is one in terms of the national constitution, you can impeach or the court can intervene.
But that's what happened.
No, I'm saying is for you to say a central committee meeting was held and resolutions were passed, that would be wrong.
But Mr. Mawere, do we agree with you? This wasn't a normal central committee, meeting. That this was an emergency meeting that was called, and as an emergency meeting, there were certain individuals. It was chaired by Obed Mpofu, but this was an emergency meeting during times that cannot be considered to be normal times, and me and you, that. But what we understand now is, what does this constitution say when it comes to such a scenario whereby things are not normal, things are not okay? And you and I can agree on the events that were going on right there. Back then, there was factional wars that were happening in ZANU-PF. So there was a fight for control of this political party. So what does the constitution say pertaining, to the events, that took place? An emergency meeting.
What leaves you is that the Central Committee purported to have met.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the trigger.
Right. Because I want to believe that parallels can be drawn here with the MDC, what happened in the MDC, the rise of Nelson Chamisa.
I don't believe there's no comparison between the two.
No.
Right?
I see. No.
One is a sitting president.
No. Where I want to draw, the parallels is on the basis like what Mr. Matapo, was saying. Can populism drive people to behave in a certain manner? Like,
I'm saying
there was an argument that according to the popular demand that was there, Robert Mugabe.
No, there was no. You see, when you make that argument about Chamisa, about populism, I'll say it was the other way around. A funeral was taken over to make somebody popular. It was not the funeral. If it was not for the funeral, Chamisa would be irrelevant because he was thrown onto people who were basically mourning for Tsvangirai. So it was not populism, it was accidental. Or was it advantage? It was more like, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but whatever it was.
No, but if Robert Mugabe not fired Emmerson Mnangagwa, could we have seen the events that took place in November 2017?
Yes, most probably I would have supported the nonsense of Chamisa and everyone else. As Tsvangirai died and Robert Mugabe was still there. But
no, I'm saying, had Robert Mugabe not fired Emmerson Mnangagwa on that fateful day in 2017, could we have seen the event that then happened in ZANU-PF unfolding? Because it's the same to say, if Morgan Tsvangirai had not died, then Chamisa would not have been a relevant figure. But here I'm saying, had Robert Mugabe not fired Emmerson Mnangagwa, could we have seen the event that then unfolded after the firing of Emmerson Mnangagwa?
Of course not. But what I'm saying is, if we flip it up a bit and say Tsvangirai died, Robert Mugabe is still president, I can tell you there's not been a hypocrite or anything. Whatever happened in MDC, I would have gone and say, you know what, Chamisa is the right person because Robert Mugabe was basically what I wanted out of Zimbabwe. So most people would have gone for that populism viewpoint, I think. But at the moment, we cannot have two magnitude of madness happening in two different things at the same time. I think we were willing to let go one. It was the other way around. If you have to flip it and say Tsvangirai dies and what happened to Chamisa, most probably I would support that. I'm not lying, but that's what I think I would go for because it would have been an easy way of getting rid of Robert Mugabe. But the transition, we did not allow a transition in terms of what I think, because now we're stuck in a conundrum as a country, as a nation, because of this. Because now we're making comparison and thinking, you know what, is it apples, is it pears? You know, what exactly fundamentally are we trying to say? Because we're stuck in an argument that is actually baseless, right? Because if it was the other way around, the only person that I thought was worth more weight, Chamisa would have been worshipping this foot if it was the other way around. That's a fact. I wouldn't lie about that.
Okay, so we are deviating, and Rama is I sounding nothing. And so I think Ramatapu, do you we're getting the last 15 minutes. Let's see whether Ramatapu point yapinda ere yokuti
ndainzwa
community do ine yakasenzeswa.
yes
Mugabe.
No, you see,
that is before is whether that meeting was properly convened and properly held.
You see, my comment is this. I wanted Mugabe to go as much as, I don't know, even before that time. But in this case, the procedure which they followed, which was followed by the regime that is there today, was not in terms of their constitution. So it was unconstitutional. Even if I wanted Mugabe to go, but the way he was removed was not constitutional. That's what I can say.
That is your opinion. If you're a judge or a jury, you would have said it doesn't pass the test.
Yes.
So
I was going to say
if it's unconstitutional, Robert Mugabe was still alive. He did a media saying, "I want the proper way." Why didn't he summon the same Supreme Court, because he was the only one who knew what happened, and take this matter to the Supreme Court?
But he knew he was under duress. He knew that all his friends, former friends, had turned against him, including the courts, that the courts were already in the power of somebody.
Right. So
remember, this Sunday was before the cabinet meeting of Tuesday, where people ran away from him. You know that?
Yeah. Well, Talifa, no one stopped you from going your own business and having yourself a life. You know, this was my discussion that actually brought up. So I do not know where you get it from. You just came from nowhere and put yourself into a discussion that has got nothing to do with you. Right. So if we are saying, when we're looking at this constitution, how old is this constitution? Is it the one that ZANU took with it from 1970?
That is the constitution.
No, but it's got different developments, ZANU PF. Don't forget.
No, I'm saying that is the valid constitution.
Okay. So when we look at it, when we're looking at it, it does not really say how do we remove Robert Mugabe from power, does it?
No.
The one who's supposed to be
there was a central committee meeting that met on Sunday, 19th of November, 2017.
That was after the coup happened on the 17th.
Was that meeting properly constituted in terms of the limitations entrenched in the constitution of ZANU-PF?
Well, but then, Mr. Mawera, you're coming up with very much important information. The coup happened on the 17th. The meeting took place on the 19th, right?
No.
When did the coup happen?
Oh, you mean the military was borrowed before? Yes.
Yeah. So the military came in with their army nations and everything else. most of people like Choko,
It's part of a scheme. It was part. The military was part of a scheme.
Yeah, we understand that it was part of the scheme because Robert Mugabe was going to come after the military. We all know what happened. So it was infighting in ZANU-PF. So basically, this rendered their own constitution useless then in terms of what happened on the 17th.
That's right. So the question is whether the Central Committee meeting of Sunday, 19th November 2017 was held in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Yes or no, Ramai?
Well, if it happened on the 19th, as you're stating now, I would like to believe that they would have quickly grabbed Kaya or whatever and said in his absence, now there's someone else who was running.
I'm saying is Mugabe was not there. Mpoko was there. So the meeting is supposed to start with the president. If he says, I'm unavailable, then he would ask his deputies to sit in on his behalf.
But he only had one deputy.
Yeah. Is that correct, Ramatapu?
That is correct. That is true.
Okay,
Yeah.
but if he had one deputy and the other one had run away, let's say you have a war, right? You've got one president, the vice president has run away. Yeah. And then basically we're under stipulation from the army that says, you know what, we want A, B, C, D, and E. If you're going to say that this constitution matters, either way, I would say it didn't really matter because everything was taken out of the hand of the party, right? The army took control of Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Right?
But I'm just saying, let's not we're not talking about the army, Ramai. We're talking about a simple constitutional principle.
I know, but under the right conditions and the right environment, right, Robert Mugabe would not be dislodged under the constitution because there's nothing in the constitution that stipulates that it can be dislodged.
No, I'm saying to you that a Central Committee meeting was held outside the provisions of the Constitution of ZANU-PF.
Yes, I could understand that, why it was. There's a reason for it that it was held. But it does not render their constitution wrong. Even if they followed it to the latter after disarming the other parties and went back and said, you know what, we have to do A, B, C, D, and E. Whether it was under duress that those people on the committee met without Robert Mugabe being there. However, Robert Mugabe himself destroyed his own constitution to start off with.
Okay, so I think some people, let's just go through the comments shortly and then we can, the facts, resign of impeachment. This is a very good discussion, but can't we get proper representation from the ruling party? Because this is all speculation. There's no speculation here. Do we need anyone from the ruling party to talk about something that is happening? Do we need Hitler?
No. I mean, we are looking at the ZANU-PF constitution right away, and all the sections that our comments are based on what is in their constitution, not outside. And so anyone from ZANU would not help us in this discussion.
No, because it's supposed to have what you're forgetting is you're supposed to look at it in a very naive way. A constitution offers you a direction, right? So in a way, we're identifying the flaws within our constitutions, really, aren't we? Right?
No, there's no flaws. We are not identifying. There's no flaw in the constitution.
Well, there is one here. I've read the thing before. It's so boring. I find it really boring, to be honest, Mr. Mawere.
But the discussion was on constitutionalism. I guess, Ramai, after the conversation, Ramai, what are your last words?
What I need people to understand is, I live in a country that does not have a constitution. What democracy kind of like flows within its own boundaries, right? We put so much element into things that were written before our time. I think maybe we need to actually look to see if we understand what is a constitutionalism, because by the end of the day, when you looked at the instructions on how it's going to hold the council, an accused cannot hold a council, because that itself says that that person is a dictator. So Robert Mugabe cannot be the judge of his own fate.
It just came and the power script just came in my phone like that.
Just copy and paste and send it to me.
You believe this?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're listening to your conversation. So I believe that in terms, we should have maybe some other provisions within our constitution. What do we do then?
Ramai, we are not talking about writing constitution. We are talking about compliance with the constitution. So,
yeah, but even if you say so, if you look at the constitution, I'm actually surprised that Robert Mugabe has to hold his own meeting to fire himself.
No, I'm saying is, Ramai, all we're talking about is constitutionalism. So if that's your final words, Ramai, that we need to talk about writing constitutions, then
that are fit for purpose. Constitution should be fit for purpose in terms of the time now. We were sitting down discussing it with Komichi. Komichi basically bent over in terms of what he could get away with within it, what he thought was the constitution, right? Until someone took him to court. And then we went to look at the ZANU-PF constitution. In terms of timeline, we saw that there was a coup going on in one hand. And then when we looked, when we're examining the constitution of ZANU-PF, there is no provisions there that actually tells you how do I get rid of the so-called president when he's sitting in power, unless if he holds the meeting himself. So therefore, that needs to be examined.
Okay. Ramatapu, what's your last word?
Yeah, I just want to say that it is good that all the time, whatever we do, if we are to be smart, we have to adhere to the constitution. It is only the constitution that gives us the legality of whatever we do, and that will then translate into whatever, so that at least then we avoid all these problems. Because at the end of the day, you might think that you are doing the right thing, but only to discover that when you violate a certain section of the constitution, you are also prejudicing some other sections of the people, and that way things won't work well. So I think following the constitution all the time is the best way to go. Thank you very much.
Okay, Rama, you've already concluded. So I think for me, really, Mr. Mavinga says you need at least a constitutional lawyer to do justice to this topic. Thank you very much for having no confidence in us, Mr. Mavinga. Yet, when we talk about the MDC constitution violations, we are not trained people. The people who are trained, where is the platform, Mr. Mavinga, where this is being discussed robustly? We don't need anybody to talk. We just need ourselves to add our voices on things that concern us. If the subject of the day is constitutionalism, let us have a pedestrian way of looking at it. Otherwise, we wait for the people that will never come. Yet we are the people we are waiting for. Mr. Mavinga, where are you? Step forward. Step up to the plate. Be the voice of what you think ought to change, ought to happen. If you think we are disqualified, at least one of the have expert knowledge of the law. What if the very experts are the culprits? Do you agree that the one who orchestrated the coup is also a lawyer? that in both these disputes,
it's surprising, Mr. Mawere, that the lawyers are the ones who are actually breaking the law. They are avoiding the constitution. They are doing things unconstitutionally. And then they come here to tell us that we need a lawyer to tell us what we know. It's surprising.
Can you get an opinion from President Mnangagwa that he was involved in a coup? Or he will say he's a constitutionalist?
Well, I don't think ED ever said that. I don't think ZANU and, you know, in terms of what I know from the way ZANU was centralizing itself before the coup not coup, I saw Grace Mugabe offering her husband a one-party state, right? That does not fall within the remits of what you're talking about in the constitution.
No, I'm saying we have a unique opportunity as Zimbabweans that we have a constitution that has helped other people to start talking about constitutionalism. So, Matapo, you need a lawyer to unpack constitutionalism. That's what Vinga is saying, that we are not up to the job.
Yeah, but
so
he's been dismissive because he does not understand the constitution is there to protect you. You can use that right. It's your right to...
Not to protect experts. A constitution is there to protect the weakest chain in the chain. What is constitutionalism? Do we really need Ramavinga? Do we need an expert to tell us that? If so, bring an expert who is not convicted.
I think maybe most of the things, we think everything needs to have a subject matter expert. You know, this is when people are telling
this
you...
This is not a virus that we don't know that has attracted experts. No. This is a constitution we have read. Wamatapu. Didn't we read the constitution?
Yes, we did. We read the constitution and we understand. We can understand the constitution.
We need to be rocket scientists. Do we need to be experts?
No. Not at all.
No, you don't have to. You just need to know how to read and write and think.
Yeah. So the constitution is clearly what constitutes a meeting of the Central Committee. And either it was not presided over by the people reserved for it. So in this case, Ramavinga wants to convert Zimbabwe into a bottleneck with only the neck that are the experts. And the rest is where the liquid is. And it is through these so-called experts who will tell us what constitutionalism is. And he has asked you, do you know, Ramatapo, what constitutionalism is? Because he doesn't believe you are suitable. But if you are not here, is Mavinga going to be here?
In fact, the constitutional lawyers, many of them are even disagreeing so much, so widely, that you can't even understand them, because one of them comes with this, another one comes with different, another one with... So,
but
I mean, at the end of the day, we are going nowhere.
Imagine what could I say? Jesus left 20 years ago.
But then again...
Many Christians.
Yeah.
But then
He's
again,
right.
you can use the same thing as the Constitution and the Bible, because it's how you actually think what the Bible is saying. Everyone says different things about the Bible. So...
Yeah, but we are not going to go to Jesus.
No, we're not.
In the Supreme Court, the issues were argued by lawyers. They should come and unpack. We can read.
Mr. Maduku did that already.
Do we need Professor Maduku, Advocate Mpofu? If you go to Maduku today and ask him, you are in Poland, the president that you are a member with in Poland, did he pass through the eye of the needle of constitutionalism? He will tell you he's not my client. But Kupe was my client. Sure, is this the kind of society you want, Mr. Mavinga? That we have lawyers who have no principles, who will stand for anything. Hear no evil, see no evil. Please stop shoving your opinion down people's throats. All the things that you are saying are based on opinion. Opinion is not fact. Okay, fine. Why, Agrippa, you were here yesterday, and then you are saying we are shoving people. We are not forcing you to do anything. And Rama does not even know the UK has a constitution. She doesn't know. Because
the UK does not. It's got the Magna Carta.
Yeah, but that constitutes rules. That constitutes the common law rules that are established.
I know, but it doesn't really. If you look at the point of when Johnson was in hospital, it's actually the Tory party that doesn't have a constitution. But the Magna Carta is a very old book. I know.
No, I'm just saying. That's why he's saying let's justify bringing experts. Because Ramai, you have been found wanting.
Oh well, you know what, Dewa? No one's talking.
They are saying that next time don't bring Ramai to talk about constitutionalism. That would be.
The problem I have with people like Dewa, right? They make the people, the panel, the subject, because we spend more time looking at them judging us, not looking at the constitution and coming up with solutions. They're just sitting there saying, lawful, and you're this and that, but they're not even looking at the document to say, how does this apply to me? Right?
I'm just saying is that there are things that you have said, Ramai, that finds out of line, and I didn't want to correct you, but I thought that the matter was about
Thank you, Dewa. It's unwritten. Exactly, you've got it correct. It's unwritten because a constitution is a document, isn't it? You can refer it to it.
No, either you have it or you are not. You don't have it. So exactly. I think so. There we are. We are not experts, but we give up our time to promote activism, to promote the idea that we, the people, are the people we're waiting for. That citizenship has rights and obligations. And we have the way saying that we need lawyers. So we are going to have a show that is organized by the Mavinga. So that next time I call him, he will answer my phone just to organize a show. Because there are many people who want Zimbabwe to change, but they don't want to be the change themselves. We've spoken to Brighton. We've discovered that actually we are the people we are waiting for. If we don't provoke these conversations, others may suffer in ignorance. There are many people who are knowledgeable, but who rather privatize their knowledge, who rather become expensive even to answer the phone. They would rather become expensive even to find out before the show, how best can we make this show great? But they are quick to point fingers at Ramai for giving up her time to share with us. She makes us sharper ignorance. There are
I'm
many
not ignorant.
who are actually knowledgeable but illiterate. There are many lawyers who only know the Constitution they write and they don't follow. So let us be careful about civics. It doesn't belong to those who claim it. A society needs to have experts, just ordinary citizens. A constitution protects the weakest link. It must never protect those who have alternative means, like in the animal kingdom. The stronger animals don't need a constitution. That's why in the animal kingdom there's none. There are no experts in the animal kingdom. These people who call themselves experts don't present themselves. The country is at the crossroads. There are people who say, Uyuchete, and there are people who say, Uyuchete. Which way shall Zimbabwe go? And what are the implications? For the citizen, the one who doesn't know anything about the word constitutionalism, but knows what is right and wrong. Why would you need an army to assist you in a democratic project? There is nobody who would want a meeting to be held, even if you are going to remove me. Please don't blindfold me while you are removing me. Just remove me with my eyes open. If I have lost favor, why are you afraid to go to a Congress? Any member can call for an extraordinary Congress to remove me properly. Why use the Central Committee? Why use the wrong PIN number to access your cash? Let us reflect. Tomorrow it will happen and you cheerlead and you try to justify a coup in whatever form. This judgment has given us time to reflect, just to pause and think how power should be transferred, and the power belongs to the people, whether they are citizens or members of an organization. We have learned from the Supreme Court that power is cardinal. Nkomo Matapo and Rama are good panelists, but we also need an expert to assist and clarify the law. This is a great platform. Or bring my sister Miriam Mutizwa. Why don't you become a producer, Mr. Mavinga? Ramai is there to give her time. Why can't we congratulate her?
Well, I'm doing it for fun.
Than have an expert. And most of the experts are conflicted. They have a conflict in interest.
Well,
So,
I was going to ask you.
I hope that we are going to be able to take this conversation to the common denominator like me. I don't know what I'm talking about, but if you are hearing me, please just take 1% of what you are hearing. I'm like Ramai, expert. I've never qualified to host a show. I just do it the best way I know how. Some people may find it boring, so be it. But I'm not going to force somebody to come on this platform. And that's all. If you don't like us, fine. Let's have 24 hours. Or that becomes a festival of ideas. Use your limited knowledge to help provoke conversations. And I hope that we all will be able to do that. Otherwise, we end up with a country of experts, and everybody is a nobody. And we can never talk because we are waiting for that 1% to make something full. And I actually think Ruama is good, that most people disagree with your political affiliations, but we shake hands after the show. Yes, Ruama, I will be the last person to defend your right to speak your mind, to support who you support. Policies, they make no sense. I'll be the last to defend your right to expose yourself. Thank you, Ramai, for exposing yourself. And people think.
But then again, we didn't examine all the constitution in terms of how to. I'm still lost in how, if I wanted to remove ED tomorrow, would the ZANU-PF constitution help me?
Yeah, no, we can have a discussion of constitutionalism among the like us. Mr. Mavinga is qualified, has to be dummies on constitutionalism, that we are 99% full, but we can never have a complete discussion without an expert. So I admit that I am a fool on constitutionalism, the absence of it and what it means. So if I'm a fool, Ramai, join me in a foolish discussion. So let's come back and have a foolish discussion. Philip, we are all going, but tonight we are certified fools and continue to have a foolish one. Philip, we are over time, and we will come next time. Just present yourself, Philip, and Mr. Sibanda, we need you, but please, when you come, you must confess you are a foolish man.
Just one word to Sister Ramai. The UK has got a constitution that has got 299 pages. I'm going to post it to the platform, to the WhatsApp platform, if you want to just have a look at it.
Is that the Magna Carta?
No, Magna Carta was just the beginning of the constitution, but they've got a constitution. They've got a constitution which is current, and it's 299 pages.
And it was voted by who? What year?
Yeah, I mean, by the UK parliamentarians. I will send it to the platform, to the WhatsApp platform. Then you can open it and see.
You can send it, but it's not really you would understand that we only refer to the Magna Carta in terms of
it's
parliamentary.
No, it doesn't have a codified constitution.
Yeah.
But it is an unwritten one formed of acts of parliament, court judgments, convention.
Oh no, that's completely different, because when you're talking about acts, it depends what you're referring to, right?
No, I'm just saying we're just connecting you.
When we do policy,
no, what you learn, Rama, if you don't know something, just say I didn't know about it.
No, because I don't agree with you on that one, because I know what is an act. It's usually because something has happened.
No, I'm saying this. Rama, there's no need to argue when you are blind.
No, but Mr. Mawere, when you come to the English law and acts and everything else, one thing you need to understand, if I'm doing anything in business, if I'm doing something in health, there are certain acts that follow within those industries. If I'm doing something to do with prisons, there's certain acts. That's not a constitution. Yeah, because they changed, they're irritative. You've got an Immigration Act, you've got this act. All those things are not a constitution, those are just acts.
No,
Ruramai. A constitution is a document that
I think, Ruramai, let's have another session.
The act.
No, that's not a constitution, though.
No, Parliament sits down and then they make enactments which are called acts, but the acts are subordinate to a constitution.
So does Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe sits, Parliament sit down, the bill is made, but the constitution sits there, right?
Yes, they derive.
Acts are derived. We're talking semantics here. We're talking two different things.
No, acts are derived from the constitution. You don't have acts outside
No,
the
in the
Constitution.
UK, acts do not come from the Constitution.
They come from the Constitution. They can't come
Okay, so
from nowhere.
where did the Immigration Act come from? What Constitution?
It comes from a
stipulates
certain
immigration?
section of the Constitution.
No, it does not. Because that is
well,
evolved over the years. Immigration from 1974 is
So,
completely different from the
Ramai,
Immigration Act of 1970,
The UK
of
has got no
1984
constitution.
or 86 or 87.
okay, Philip, you agree with Ramai that there's no constitution?
The UK has got no constitution. They vote for something. They don't have a constitution.
Thank you, Philip.
They have got no constitution. They vote for something.
Godfrey ran away from the conversation, is now coming on, but so be it. That's the argument.
Mr. Mawere, I know I came late. You said I have to, but I just want to put my word. 1 second. You took our time reading comments which are not constructive. You don't need to tell us about the unconstructive comments from the platform, from people who are just saying you are ugly, you are what. We want to learn, we want to move forward. You need to ignore those comments and enjoy. We need to enjoy our learning this program. We are enjoying the program, but you don't comments which doesn't construct us anything.
Okay, and Philip, if you were God, would you give dogs the right to bark?
If I were God,
Yeah.
you are trying to say me, yes. That's what you're trying to say, that everyone has got a freedom of expression. That's what you're saying.
Let's listen to those who don't agree with us.
Yeah, but listen, Mr. Mawere, you know what? People love your topic, but you want to close the show now because we are reading 20 minutes of people who doesn't contribute. We want you to read things which are constructive, not people saying March is beautiful, Philip is beautiful. We do not need that.
Philip is beautiful.
All right. So I accept your criticism. And, I think we've covered, Mr. Matapo summed it up. The Central Committee that was held and that passed the resolutions was invalid for want of compliance with the Constitution of ZANU-PF. That is.
Mr. Mawere, when you say that, how come no one has basically, I know when I hear of Chamisa talking about illegality of ED, I used to think it was to do with the Supreme Court hearing. What does he mean by illegality? Does he mean in terms of what happened in ZANU-PF or what?
No, Chamisa got a argument, and it's not for today. Chamisa's argument is that he won the elections, and therefore he ought to be president of Zimbabwe.
So that's his illegality.
That's where the illegitimacy comes from. And
Okay.
legitimacy arises from day one. And then let's just answer Godfrey. He says, if the first vice president dies, resigns, or is removed from office, the second vice president assumes office as first vice president until the expiry of the former first vice president's term of office. The president must without delay appoint a qualified person to be second vice president until the expiry of the former first vice president of Zimbabwe. I think we touched on it. Unfortunately, we're not here. We did justice to it. So hopefully, you follow the video and go through it so that we all can be on the same page. So
Oh my God.
ignorance is the enemy. That part of it is not codified unless it does not mean that the UK does not have a constitution. In this elections that took over illegally, I find both negative and positive comments both constructive. It's either you use the negative to push yourself forward and work hard to improve, Yeah, we need experts, as we are told. So I hope Mavinga would change that he wants to see, so that the quality of the show would be informed by the panelists, as some people want. Those who went to school study hard, they will do so. And we will facilitate and leave it to the experts, so that the experts can be energized, can be encouraged, provoked, inspired, ignited to build the platforms that are missing in our daily conversations. We need more, yet those who have more, who are gifted more, are not ready to come forward, to step forward. They are ready to criticize everything. And that's why we get shit wars as countries. And most of these are the ones who dig deeper, so that more shit can go in. And Kuda. So let us not dig holes and we put shit in it. Let us dig excellence in it. So let's strive for excellence. Let's journalists to write even about this story. Like somebody who just wrote to me now from the UK, well argued, my brother, on issues of constitutionalism. Thanks, forward, my Sokwadzo. It's comments like that that make us come day after day, just to give ourselves the opportunity to ventilate views that may not change society. But who knows, like a dog would bark at a moving car. If you don't move, it doesn't bark. Let's just do something. Let us have conversations without reservations. You never know who is provoked to think differently, act differently. Even those who benefit from coups, they will have a disincentive for doing so. But we are not here to argue about new constitutions. We are here to sharpen your mind so that the future is shaped and defined by you, the citizen, the idiot like me. There is no economics without a greater fool. The buyer will be fool. But if the buyer knows where to buy cheap goods, why would I buy from an expensive supplier? But how many of us buy things every day? And we need to be able, Mr. Mawere, compare what the Supreme Court said on Basket's case and on the recent case, and how it's biased. I can give you 20 judgments or 25 judgments, Godfrey. But come on air to talk about what you believe in, Godfrey. I am not, I don't want to be here. I'm trying to complain to media people that we here so that we are not here. It's taxing, time consuming. We could be doing other things. So please, if you want to know how COVID is spread, the symptoms and treatment, would you invite a pedestrian or medical doctor? Yes, I would discuss that. Safe distance is not safe distance, Mavinga, only for doctors. It applies to all of us. So if somebody is sick, by all means, you don't have to be an expert. Doctors treat people who are sick, but they don't invite them. We go to see doctors because we need to see doctors. We make doctors look good. So we need charter. We need to discuss COVID from those who are affected by it, not just the practitioners, the providers of care. We need to democratize knowledge. We need to, everybody counts, Mr. Mavinga. Without the demand side, there's no supply. So let's discuss openly and let's move into that gear. Thank you very much, for being here. Thank you, Ramai, leaving. So goodbye, and let's keep on talking. There is no one who is prejudiced by another person talking. So let's make sure that we are the voice that we are waiting for. There is nobody who say what you want them to say. Be the change that you want to see. Society is open. And let's bring Godfrey next time. Okay, Godfrey, you wanted to say something?
Yes, Mr. Mawere, I wanted to explain on the issue that I raised on the comments column there, with regards to our judiciary in Zimbabwe, and I was giving a reference.
No, I've already understood it. I said, let's have another show so that we don't detain people for too long.
All right.
It's fair for us to, we will never end. We are already more than 30 minutes after the show. So if we say, let's talk about the rule of law versus rule of man, let's talk about the people in the judiciary, whether they are fair, they are just, and whether we get the justice we need. Let's provoke them so that they know we are watching.
I thought you would give me just 2 minutes to explain, and then I leave.
You know, I'm saying that's you now. I'm just saying, can't we have another show? You have my number, so that when we said 9 o'clock, why were you not there at 9 o'clock?
I was busy doing something.
So that's right. And we also need to do something so that, so let's give ourselves now more planning. That structure and order, planning does everything. We are not saying you should not say what you need to say. We have already oversaid what we needed to say. But I guess your topic requires justice. And it requires time. It requires, you can motivate it. And you are raising valid issues, no doubt about it. And we need to talk about that. I believe so. Some people may not agree with me. So I think let us end on that note so that we can plan to talk about the topics that you want. The Supreme Court judgment, other judgments. Let's talk about the judiciary, like we are talking about the media. Let's talk no holds barred, open-ended, and over time we'll get the literacy we need, and we get the knowledge we need. We become experts. When we talk about the impeachment of Trump, it was in the public domain, not for experts only. So let's deal with it. Debate is development. That's Mr. Mavinga. That's right. So let's keep on. Let's provoke people to come forward like you, Godfrey, please, by all means. We have 24 hours until tomorrow evening. And I hope you won't complain and say, no, I had something else to do. So let's keep on talking. Thank you.